Hello everyone, I'm Ishrene Davids. Welcome to our National Women's Day program. And as many South Africans know, on the 9th of August in 1956, about 20,000 women marched to the Union buildings in Pretoria to protest against unfair legislation. And on the 9th of August 1995, post our first democratic elections, we celebrated our first National Women's Day. The role of women has always been sharp in politics, in economy, in health, in issues of survival, the care of children, business, entrepreneurship. And I think what COVID-19 has revealed, it's plunged the world into a devastating crisis. It has revealed, or it has heightened the existence of inequalities. But I think it's also focused the role of women very sharply as people who, again, are at the forefront of leading us out of this crisis. And I think that's what's been so amazing about the opportunities that have come about as a result of this devastating crisis that's hit the world. And particularly in our communities in South Africa and here in Cape Town, where we as Ikamva Labantu have many, many programs. The role of women is so much more an important and critical tool in the recovery of South Africa and the recovery of the economy and basic humanity. So I think we want to talk a little bit about what the issues are that affect women, but we do want to focus on the many, many amazing activities that women are involved in and the leadership role women take, especially during occasions of crises, and how we look to women to guide and to support and nurture. And perhaps a little bit about Ikamva Labantu's role, which is very much in the background to this huge surge of women just taking on the recovery of South Africa, how we come alongside that and support that. So I have with me Lulama Sigasana, who is the head of our seniors program. But beyond that, Lulama is an activist by heart, has been working in communities for many, many decades and has been with Ikamva Labantu for a long, long time. And I don't think there's anyone more qualified to speak on the issues in communities and the amazing resilience that exists within our people, you know, in our many communities. So Lulama, perhaps if you could talk about our relief process, how we jumped to relief when the lockdown was announced, and how now we're looking at recovery and what some of those activities are that we're hoping to start.
Happy Women's Day to everyone out there. Ishrene, I'm quite touched by your introduction in terms of reminding us really what the past role of women has been in changing the fabric of our nation as South Africa, in women fighting for rights to be free in their own country. That's so touching. And really the role of women has not diminished. Instead, it has expanded. You know, currently in the news, you will hear about the abuse of women, the sacrifice that women pay, the sacrifice that women has been through, sometimes get totally neglected. And yet when there's a crisis or there's a war or there's anything going on that is touching a nation, who stands up? Who takes care of the sick? If you look back in history, even when HIV came in as a crisis, It was the women who stood up and took care of the sick one without any education. That's why most of the seniors that we are looking at after today, they got infected because nobody disclosed to them how infectious the HIV virus was at that time. And now again, we're facing COVID-19, who's at the forefront of really uplifting, empowering, and carrying the brunt of what is happening in our communities. It's still women. I think now I feel like saying power to the women, and we really need to be celebrating ourselves as women and pat ourselves on the back in terms of what we contribute to the development of nations in this world. So coming to what Ikamva Labantu is busy with, if you don't know what Ikamva Labantu stands for, it stands for the future of our nation. We are well known in terms of building communities, in terms of empowering communities, and not coming into a community and telling you this is what you need. We sit down and engage with communities and see what are the needs and hearing the voice of the community. Because at Ikamva Labantu, we have ECD programs who are women, really mothers, who are nurturers, who look around their environment and see that children are in danger of being victims of would-be killers, of would-be abusers. As we see that South Africa now has become a nation that's so violent to its most vulnerable people. Men who are supposed to be carers, men who are supposed to be protectors, are the ones who are hurting our women and children out there, you know? So now who has to care? It's women. Women are always at the forefront of protecting, of nurturing, of calling government to book as well in terms of saying, hey, listen, we are here. We even gave birth to you, actually, you know? So what we're busy with Ikamva Labantu at the moment, we started in terms of delivering food parcels to all our programs, like with early childhood development programs, to even the practitioners, which are the teachers that are looking after the children at the early development centers, at the ECTs. And then also with the seniors program, we also gave them food parcels twice a month to ensure that nutritional status does not come down, you know, with the problems of food insecurity, poverty, social injustice that we still experiencing after so many years of our democracy, you know. So now, Ikamva Labantu is always at the forefront. Ikamva Labantu is an organization that thinks forward. We're quite happy with our leadership in terms of how they are agile and forward-thinking people. So now we're looking as an organization in terms of how do we really recover, because we have a history in South Africa of social mobilization. You know, we have engaged with communities in our neighborhood, feeding kitchens. There, when you are engaging with communities, you must have understanding, you must have knowledge, you must have insight, an eye that looks at what is the skill that you see in this person, because each person is a moving book. Each person has experience that has to be nurtured, that has to be unlocked so that that person can live their own life with their God-given gifts sometimes, because not everybody has the ability nor the funding to go to a university. You know, life is its own university. So hence as an organization, we look, we observe, you know, the unspoken words. You watch the person, how they are doing what they are doing. Then you identify that this is a person that we can, this is a leader. This is a leader. This is a leader. This is someone who can uplift this community. So now we're at that point at Ikamva Labantu where we are identifying people who can assist us. Besides ECDs, you know, ECDs were formed by mamas in the communities who identify children, as I said before. So they're running their own educators as businesses now. They have been empowered and skilled by Ikamva Labantu. So now at this time during COVID-19, they are ready to open, also with support, with empowerment from the very same organization. We don't say, no, you don't have the skill. We say, how can we assist you? How can we help?
Lulama, there was something that you said, I don't want to lose that. It's the use of local knowledge, which is so important. You can have all the innovation in the world and all the sophistication, but if it's not coupled with the profound value of local knowledge, it is not going to go anywhere. And maybe if we can talk a little bit about how we harness local knowledge in understanding what needs to happen and why then that it becomes so successful.
You know what? We believe that a person with a problem is a person who has the solution to that problem. It's just that the person might not necessarily have the resources to make the solution come true. This is where Ikamva Labantu comes in. We're saying, you have a problem. Look out within your community. What is the need that you have within your community? Ikamva Labantu will come in with you. You identify the idea of what you want to do within that community as a gap, as a need, and then we will empower you in terms of skilling, linking you up with a mentor, and even giving you the resources to be able to do it. But we don't want, we have this developmental approach that we just don't want to give you a fish all the time. We must teach you how to fish so that you can survive and sustain your life with dignity, with your family, within the community. That's what, yeah.
So it's about designing whatever you design. It's designing with communities in mind. And if we look at how the world has changed and how our public space has changed, for example, we're not allowed to be out and mingling, but yet we have to return to work. We have to return to a new sense of what we will now regard as normal, and social distancing, and what physical spaces need to look like for us to still be creative and engage with one another. And again, communities have said, we want to take our streets back. We want to be able to go out there, and communities are engineers. They are the ones who will decide how their physical spaces need to look. It's just so forward thinking, that we already begin to lay the basis for what new physical spaces will look like, new public spaces will look like. So during our relief period, where we've been focusing so much on getting food to people, it was really to make sure people are eating, that those children between the ages of 0 and 6 have nutritious food, because that's an important development period. Because if children don't eat properly, they become stunted, and it's something you can't recover necessarily. So we were worried about those children. We were concerned about seniors who are at home, who are also always looked to feed the children and to give a slice of bread, and that they're on medication and they should be able to, and they have to eat properly in order to take the medication and not to lose. And again, we look at women, and in most instances, senior women, older women who are looking after communities and families, and yet they're not sitting in their chairs. Their hands are busy. They are engaged in income generation. What does that look like?
Yes. In Africa, we have this proverb: if you teach a man, you are teaching an individual. And if you teach a woman, you are teaching a nation. So our seniors are really good examples of that, because they're looking after the next generation, and that takes resources in terms of being the head of households, at a time when their own health is declining. So our seniors are doing income generation activities. It doesn't mean just because you are a senior now, you must stay at home and wait really for rest in peace. Now you have to, our seniors have to work. They do beading. I think I'm wearing, if you can see what I'm wearing on my arm, I think I'm the ambassador. My headgear was also done by the seniors of Ikamva Labantu. So they do this craft work like beading. They do the traditional dresses, and they sell that in terms of this. Also assist them in terms of enhancing the social pension that they receive, because we all know that it's not enough. So because they are the heads of their households, so they are active at Ikamva Labantu, because we get them together into a club prior to COVID-19. We get them at the club, and they do this income generation. They do these health activities. So out of what they produce, they use that money to enhance the social pension. Some women will tell you, we have electricity that we need to purchase, and the price of electricity is going up every day. We have to buy food. It's always, Granny, I'm hungry, Granny, I'm hungry. Granny must provide. And then also what they say, we have to send children to school, and that is also costly. And now with the change also in our education system, some of these processes that children have to do their homework on computers and stuff like that, seniors don't have that skill, they don't have that knowledge. So it means they need more resources for the child to go to travel to a place where they could get the computer for them to be able to do their homework. So all this is resting on seniors. So they're not sitting there and waiting. They are active participants in our economy as well. Ikamva Labantu looked at the productivity that the seniors were doing, and we came up with a social enterprise that we called Ikamva Design. What Ikamva Design does, we're doing napkin rings, all your table settings done by Ishrene material, which is the traditional Xhosa material. And then we do napkin rings, we do Christmas tree decorations. That is all done by seniors. And then the napkin rings are totally beautiful. They are in the shape that I have in my arm, but smaller for the napkins. So Ikamva Design is totally done by seniors themselves. And then they do lapel pins as well. They do bracelets as well at the clubs. Or what is also nice in terms of what they do also recyclable material. You know, the Coke tin or whatever tin that you buy your cool drink in, that lid that you throw away, seniors use that to make a bag, a nice, beautiful bag that can be sold anywhere in any of these fashionable shops. So our seniors make that to make sure that they can provide for their families. The products that our seniors are selling are sold internationally, and also some of the tourist companies within Cape Town, they bring their tourists as well into the senior clubs prior to COVID-19 now, and the tourists would buy the products that the seniors are making. So all these things, so we have seniors being entrepreneurs, doing their small businesses to make sure that they survive in their homes with their children.
While we've been focusing on relief the entire time while we've been delivering food parcels, we've been acutely aware of the need for communities to recover, and we've been thinking about what that would look like. What is the next new thing that Ikamva Labantu has been focusing on?
Oh, that's a very exciting question, Ishrene, because now what we have as an organization up our sleeve is what we have termed Ikamva Ventures. You know, Ikamva Ventures is looking at ensuring that communities sustain themselves, like looking at small businesses that people are wanting to embark on with support, with mentoring. Like for an example, some people would say they would like to be baking traditional bread to be sold at some of these restaurants that have closed for so long, and then other people would be wanting to be electricians, but they don't have the skills to do that, so they will be trained in terms of doing. We're actually looking at ensuring that everything that communities need should be found within communities, so that people don't go out of the community to get what they need, you know. So
Okay.
yeah,
So in essence, we are not returning to a new normal. There's nothing normal about it. We're returning to a revitalized, re-energized community and people who are doing it for themselves. Is that so?
definitely,
Ah,
definitely,
right.
definitely, we can do it.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And as you all know, funding is always a challenge. If you can find it in your hearts and in your pockets to support us, there's a donate button. There's also a link to Ikamva Design. Please go and have a look. There's amazing products over there. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and do stay in touch. We are so grateful for all your support. Thanks, Lulama.
Thank you.